There's a steep hill in the southwest of England called Cooper's Hill. And every year, a bunch of people line up at the top to chase down after a round of cheese. That's right, they break bones and twist ankles. They dislocate various members of their anatomy. And the winner takes home cheese. It's ridiculous, frankly, to get all bent out of shape for a 7-pound circle of coagulated milk. But of course, that's not what it's really all about. And on some level, you and I do the same exact thing.
You is a very fluid concept right now.
It's culture and film and art. It's music and interesting books. It's conversations and eavesdroppings. It's the impact of friends and complete strangers. The stuff that gets into the cracks of your life and makes you who you are. It's an attention collection. You already have one. The question is, how are you using it? Hey friends. So according to my in-depth research on Wikipedia, the tradition known as cheese rolling can be traced back to the early 1800s. It was a simpler time then, back when risking life and limb was just called Tuesday. And the tradition has only grown over time. Now people from all over the world travel to Gloucester, England, either to compete or just to watch human beings tumble end over end like sneakers in a clothes dryer. The event is so dangerous, it was actually canceled in 2009, but people showed up anyways. I imagine these people stumbling in, saying something like, "You'll pry this round of cheese from my cold, dead hands." Which, if you've actually seen cheese rolling, sounds more like a prophecy than a threat. If you're a real weirdo and that description whet your appetite, you can actually watch this blood sport on Netflix, on a show called We Are the Champions. But I gotta warn you, it's not pretty. If you take the time to watch, something quickly becomes clear. No one signs up for this event because they want to chase cheese down a hill. They're doing it for their own interpretation of what that actually represents. The Academy Award is one of the most prestigious awards one can receive. It's so prestigious, in fact, I won't even pronounce the word prestigious. It's a totem, and people have been pursuing it for almost 100 years. It's a symbol of excellence. It's an achievement that sets people apart. It's like getting a golden key to walk in a room that few people ever see. And once you're in that room, you can basically write your own ticket. You've made it. The world opens up at your feet. Or at least that's how it seems. But think about what happens when someone wins an Oscar. They stand up and kiss one or two people. They get a little weepy, and then they walk down the aisle, passing a room of ridiculously wealthy people, talented peers, and they climb the stairs to stand under stage lights, being watched by millions of people on television, to be handed a golden statue of a bald, naked guy. And yet most of us watch this unfold in the privacy of our own homes, sitting on the couch, in our pajamas, eating way too many snacks, and we don't find it one bit ridiculous. Because we know, even though this event is totally contrived and often skewed, by the way, hashtag Oscars so white, it's not about the statue. The statue is just the physical representation of something else. These artists, whether they be filmmakers, actors, designers, editors, they have given up so much. They've given months or even years of their lives. Some of them have gained weight or lost weight. They've given up sleep. They've endured harsh terrains and even harsher critics, not for a shiny object to place on a shelf, but for the message that object sends to others, and more importantly, to themselves. It's a message that says, I sacrificed. I've given so much to my craft. It's a message that ups someone's status. Nothing is the same after you won an Oscar, for instance. It's a message of affirmation. Finally, I feel affirmed. I feel like what I've given so much for has been validated. I have arrived. When I look at that naked bald guy on my shelf in my office, sometimes it's a form of vindication. You doubted me, and yet here I am. And yet in the back of our minds, we know this whole thing, this whole red carpet, fancy night out is entirely made up. Because receiving an Oscar does not mean you're more talented than any of the people off Broadway. And by the way, not receiving an Oscar says nothing of your talent or deservedness either. I'm thinking of Sam Elliott. I'm thinking of Angela Bassett. I'm thinking of Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson. Glenn Close. These people have been acting for 300 years, and they have yet to hear their name called to stand on stage and clutch that golden statue. Does that mean they aren't just as much deserving as anyone else who's ever stood there? Of course not. And at the end of the day, an Oscar isn't that different from a circle of Gloucester cheese. And some people kill themselves chasing after it. So let's travel back to Cooper's Hill. Women and men don't line up at the top of that hill every year to chase cheese. They just don't. Some of them are chasing status. They're chasing recognition. Some are just chasing an adrenaline rush. They want to do something that makes them feel alive, even though it means they might not be at the end of the race. Some of them are chasing approval, as twisted as that might seem. Some just want the bragging rights, the honor, to be able to clutch that cheese and hold it above their heads and say, I did this. That might seem ridiculous to you. It seems a little ridiculous to me, but let's talk about me. Let's talk about you. Most of us are chasing something, but none of us are chasing the thing we're actually chasing. We're chasing what it represents. Some of us are chasing money, but we're not chasing dollars and cents. We're not chasing things we can stack up in our bank accounts. Maybe we're chasing the time that money affords. Perhaps money equals access into rooms we're not currently welcome in. Sometimes money equals authority. You can make decisions that you currently aren't allowed to make. And money can often mean change. If I have enough money, I can bring about change. That can be good change. It can be bad change. It depends on who's chasing it. Perhaps it's chasing promotion because deep down, I'm looking for recognition. I want someone to see what I'm putting into the world, recognize it, and validate it. Perhaps that promotion equals power. No one wants to get to a corner office just to say I'm at a corner office. It means I get to make decisions. It means people will listen to me and perhaps even respect me. Perhaps promotion means leverage. I want to make a dent in the world. I want to do good things, and I don't currently feel like I have the leverage to do so. If I have this promotion, it will give me the golden key into that room. Or maybe we're chasing relationship because there's a longing for acceptance somewhere within me. I want to feel worthy. I want someone else to feel worthy of love and acceptance. Maybe I'm looking for generosity. I want someone to show up generously in my life, or I want to show up generously for other people. Each one of these things can have a very negative component, or they can make real, lasting, wonderful change. But if we're honest, most of us are chasing something along these lines. Sometimes we sit back and we just watch other people chase cheese downhill and we cringe. We just know they're going to get beat up. They're going to be mangled by the time it's all said and done. Or maybe we laugh at the ridiculousness of it all. Sometimes we shake our head in disgust. How could you give your life to this kind of pursuit? Or maybe if you're one of the twisted among us, you plan your trip to the next event because you want to chase that hill. But the truth is, we're all, on some level, just chasing cheese downhill. The question is, what do I expect to find when I reach the bottom? Will the bruises and broken bones and scars be worth it? Will I be able to keep my head held high if I walk with a limp from here on out? Did I make a difference? Did I inspire? Or was I just another cautionary tale? It's okay to chase the cheese, and even that sentence sounds absolutely ridiculous. But just make sure you know what you're actually taking home if you win, and what you stand to lose along the way.